People often ask about prayer, and they say, Father, it's tough to find time to pray. Look, I'm going to soccer practice, I've got this, we've got this, and often as couples, gosh, it's rare that we can have an adult conversation sometimes. The busyness of people's schedules, and that's well-meaning couples. It's sometimes very difficult just to have an adult conversation. It's even more difficult sometimes to find time to pray. It's perhaps even more difficult to set a regular schedule to pray. And yet, in the same time, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? It's maybe less difficult than we think it is. Jesus said, and God said, seek first the kingdom of God, and you will be given everything else besides. When we put Christ at the center of our marriage and the center of our life, everything falls into place. And one couple said to me, Father, when I tithe the time to God, everything else falls into place. And you know what's interesting when we do that? We actually grow to miss it when we don't have it. I mean, if we go a couple weeks and we don't pray together, we just think something's missing. I always say it's kind of like walking around with one sock on. You think something's not right. It's such a beautiful thing as a couple, especially as Catholic couples, that we not just pray with our kids in Mass, but our kids pray with us outside of Mass. I know a lot of men, they're great guys, I love them, and I'm a guy so I can talk about them. They're comfortable praying with their wife in church, they're comfortable praying alone, they're comfortable praying with other men, but they're not really comfortable praying with their wife outside of church. And so if I were going to tell them, hey, turn your TV off, put the remote behind the TV, now sit down and do the readings with your wife or your children for the next Sunday. Or pray a decade of the rosary. It doesn't have to be a whole rosary. It's not as important how long, but the time, that we get in the habit, the time. Because I promise you, tomorrow your kids are going to be grown. And I often tell families and couples, and this is the truth, when you teach your children to pray, you're actually teaching your grandchildren to pray. Because your grandchildren are going to learn about God from your kids. And that comes pretty quick. And so it's important that we put that at the center of our life. And I would just add as well, this is a side note, that your kids see you showing signs of affection to your spouse. That they see the loving and honoring that you give to your spouse. You know, as a priest, I'm ordained. The bishop asked me a very important question. He says, do you promise respect and obedience to me and to my successors? It's not just obedience. It's not just him saying, tell you to go here, you go here. No, it's respect too. I show respect to the office and to the person of the bishop. But when you're married, you say, I will love you and I will honor you all the days of our life. We kind of understand the loving part, right? But the honoring, what does that mean? It means that I'm going to give an example. I'm going to realize I have a moral duty to live a Christian example, not just for my children, but for my spouse and for me too.